Hi there Booktube, it's Eleanor here and it's time for my Friday Reads video. I'm not going to have a very long video today because 3 of the 4 books that I read this week were part of my YA Shot TBR, and I'm doing a separate review video for that which will be up I think on Sunday, so watch out for that if you want to know more about the YA Shot books that I show you. Before we start though, I'd like to do my Booktuber shout out. This week I want to shout out Moriarty and her books. I really love this channel. She's really enthusiastic. She reads a wide range of books and some of them very different to the types of books that I normally read, but she's very interesting talking about the books, and she really has some really interesting insight. She reads a lot of German books as well. I don't know if she's taking German or if she speaks fluent German, but I know that she reads some German books as well, so if you're interested in that and you speak German, then her channel would be interesting for you for that. But yeah, I really enjoy watching her channel and I definitely recommend checking out her videos, and you can find links to her channel below, so if you want to go and check it out, click on the link. Ooh, bingo wings. So let's get into the books. So I'll quickly show you the 3 books that are going to be in my YA reviews. They were Soulmates by Holly Bourne, Take Back the Skies by Lucy Saxon. This is a proof cover, so I'm not sure. I think maybe that was what the real cover looks like. And this again is a proof cover, but The Next Together by Lauren James. So that was the 3 books that I read for YA Shot reviews, and they'll be up in a couple of days. But I did enjoy these 3 books, but watch that video to find out more about them and what I thought of them in more detail. So I finally got round to picking up a book that was on my Galance TBR. I think the Galance TBR was probably about 12 books long. And because of YA Shot and various other things and just not feeling like fantasy for a bit, I've only read 1, and the Galance event is tomorrow, Saturday. So yeah, a bit ashamed of myself, but I'm still glad I got to this one, and I'm definitely going to read all the other Galance books. It's just things cropped up, unfortunately. So I read this week The Falconer by Elizabeth May. I got this a long time ago. I think I won it in a Goodreads First Reads, and I just didn't get round to reading it, and I don't know why. I just wasn't drawn to the cover. I didn't feel like it was going to be my type of book, but I really enjoyed this. It was surprising to me actually, because normally I don't like fairy or fae books. I don't know whether it's because the fae are sort of appealing but nasty and they're never quite good. I don't know if it's that sort of ambiguity or what it is about fairies and fae that books that doesn't normally draw me in, but you know, this one is top of my fairy sort of likability, and yeah, I really was surprised that I enjoyed this as much as I did. Set in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1844, this is the story of Cam, who is a young girl of 18. She's a debutante, so to speak, and she's in the upper classes, and she's at a ball and she sees her mother being killed by a fairy, and this puts normal people can't see fairies in this world. You can't see them, but something's happened and she can see them, and she watches the fairy kill her mother, and this sets in motion a number of different things, including her wish for revenge against the fairy that has done it. And we follow her as she sort of stumbles through the social etiquettes of balls and suitors, as well as on the down low secretly killing fairies. It reminded me a little bit of the Parasol Protectorate series, although it didn't have the same sort of comical witty banter that had, although there was a light-hearted comical feel to parts of it. I thought the plot and the characters and the world building was really good, and I really enjoyed that. The only reason I couldn't give it more than, I gave it 4 stars, but I couldn't give it 5 stars, was I just wasn't sold on the romantic element in this, although I did like that we didn't end up with a love triangle, which could have happened. but I didn't really get the romantic feels that I like with romantic books, which is something that's happening quite a lot recently. Maybe it's me, but I wasn't getting the romantic side of it. And also this sort of left on quite a big sort of cliffhangery moment. There is going to be a sequel, which I'm definitely going to read, but I really struggle when a book doesn't sort of wrap up. It can wrap up enough to leave it open for a sequel, but this one sort of left it quite open, and yeah, I struggle with that because I hate waiting then for the sequel. And yeah, I like it to sort of wrap up a little bit, enough that you can feel that the story is sort of made sense, and then move on to the next book, if that makes sense. Anyway, that was the only reason I couldn't give it 5 stars, but I really enjoyed this, and I definitely recommend it if you like sort of fairy, fae, kick butt. It's a little bit steampunky. Yeah, it's really a really good book, and I definitely recommend it. And then the last thing that I read this week was the comic Paper Girls issue 1, which is written by Brian K. Vaughan and art by Cliff Chang, I think. Apologise if I don't pronounce that right. Let me show you. What I really hate is when I watch videos, especially about graphic novels and comics, and I never get to see the inside. So I'm going to make sure I show you some inside, so you get a bit of an idea of the art style. So this is a few different pages of the art style. The reason it's using a lot of blues in this is it's still nighttime, so but I really like the style of art. So Stand By Me, Goonies, War of the Worlds, and the 1980s. I mean, if I say all those things, do I need to say anything else? It's set in the 80s, which I was born in the 80s, so I love that. I love Stand By Me, Goonies. It's about a group of girls. We follow one girl to begin with. She's doing her paper round. It's just after All Saints Eve, I think, or All Saints Day. There's a few weirdos out still dressed up in costume. She's off to do her paper round early in the morning, and she gets harassed by a couple of guys, and these 3 other paper girls turn up, and they form like a band to go round together and survive doing their paper round together from the sort of weirdos left over from the evening before. And something strange and eerie and weird happens, and I think we're going to find out a lot more in the next issues. I really enjoyed this as a sort of setup to the series. I'm definitely going to pick up the next one to see where it goes. Yeah, a really solid first issue, and this was, I gave this one 4 stars, and I'm going to be picking up the next one to see what happens next. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So that was the books that I read this week. I'm going to briefly show you the books that I'm planning on reading next week, because I've got 3 buddy reads next week. It's quite a busy buddy reading week. So I'm currently reading Sarah Waters' Affinity, and I'm reading that with the lovely Nicole from Dorker Brain and Tanya from List Obsessed Reader. I think it's just the 2 of us, but we're reading this one. It's on my ongoing endeavours to read 1 Sarah Waters book a month until I've finished. So after this, I've only got The Paying Guest and Night Watch to read, so I'm doing well. I should be finished this by the end of the year, which will be really good. So November and December. And then I might do like a roundup video of my Sarah Waters reading. But I'm really excited to be reading this one with the girls. Then I'm going to be reading The Hollow by Agatha Christie, and I'm also reading that with Nicole from Dorker Brain and Tanya from List Obsessed Reader, actually. So we're reading that together. This will be my 2nd Agatha Christie book, and it'll be the first time that I did a buddy read of my first Agatha Christie book with Tanya from List Obsessed Reader, but she'd already read the book before, so the sort of big reveal on who done it hadn't been the same, because obviously she already knew. So I was going, oh, I wonder if it's this, and I wonder if it's that, and she obviously had to keep quiet because she knew. But in this one, we're all going in blind. None of us have read this one before, so it'll be really interesting to try and speculate and see who can guess who it is, and I love the idea of that. And then the 3rd buddy read I'm doing this week is with Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings, and we're going to be reading Ruby by Cynthia Bond together. I've wanted to read this for a while, and if you've watched one of my recent book hauls, you'll know that I picked this up in a charity shop recently, and so when Mercedes saw that, she said, yep, let's definitely read it together, and I was like, yes, yes, please. I can't wait to read this with Mercedes. So that's the 3 books that I'm definitely going to read this week, and then there may be a few more if I get a chance, but if not, then definitely those 3. So what have you read this week? What are you reading? Have you read any of these? Let me know your thoughts and let's chat. And definitely check out Moriarty and her books because her channel is brilliant. Okay, that's it from me. Bye for now, Booktube.